Welcome back, everybody. Actually, welcome back to me. I mean, I've been gone for about a year and 5 months.
January 20...
January 2019. The last video I did was the tribute to Glenn Wood. But we're here for a Darlington Ready to Race.
This is season 4, episode 6. Talking about Darlington, talking about other things going on in the sport.
Yeah. Let's dive right into it. Obviously, this race, there's been no practice, no qualifying. You started where you were drawn, so it's
the first lap around it is the green flag, besides the pace laps.
Yeah, so the thing you would notice was there was more of a veteran presence because they're used to their cars more than the newer guys, and the top finishers will reflect that when we get to them. But the veteran presence really showed out.
When the race started, I had a feeling somebody was going to wreck in the first lap. I thought Goff was going to wreck in the first lap because it was his first time ever at Darlington in a Cup car.
You thought
the
who?
00?
Oh, Quinn Houff.
Yeah. Goff and Houff. But no, it was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 47 who ended up wrecking in the first lap.
Yeah.
Which the 00 was involved in it, but...
And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. would go on to end up wrecking out within the first half a lap, finishing 40th. That means he will also start 40th because they only invert the top 20 in the field. Now, without further... we do want to talk about Alex Bowman's contract extension. Tell me about that.
Alex Bowman, I think it was earlier this week that I think it was announced that he signed a 1-year extension contract with Hendrick Motorsports, which is great because I really feel that he deserves it, especially with the 2 wins he has and the second place finish at Darlington. I really think that he's got the opportunity to win another race or maybe even 2 races this season, but I'm probably going to go with another one.
Yeah.
But we'll get back to Alex Bowman later.
Yeah.
Right, John Hunter Nemechek.
We'll get to that. Now let's get to the top finishers. Of course, as I said, a veteran presence did well.
Kevin Harvick
wins.
Won his second race at Darlington.
Yep. And makes his 50th career win, which means he has the most wins in Stewart-Haas racing, including his boss, Tony Stewart. At 50, that makes him only the 14th driver in NASCAR history to reach 50 wins. Junior Johnson, he is tied with Junior Johnson right now, and he was tied with somebody else who
Fireball Roberts?
No, Fireball Roberts didn't have that many wins, but
I heard somebody.
But he is tied with Junior Johnson for the for 13th in all-time wins. Alex Bowman was good in the race. He put up a showing, but towards the end he started dropping, and not very bad, but just to a second-place finish, but couldn't catch up to Harvick in those closing laps.
And we go to John Hunter Nemechek.
No, we don't.
Not yet.
Right there.
Oh. Kurt Busch. Huh?
Kurt Busch, he put up a strong showing all day, stayed in the top 10 for most of it, top 20. Started 22nd, honestly. Good showing for the one car and that Chip Ganassi team on their way back.
And we'll get to another Chip Ganassi teammate here in a few minutes, which I'm pretty sure you all know what's going to be said, but we'll get to him in a minute.
4th place. You want to take this one?
Yeah. 4th place was Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott ran in the top 10 all day, mostly all day. Yeah.
Number 5, Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin
a former winner at Darlington.
Always runs well at Darlington.
Always, yeah.
He had a good showing today, finishing in the top 5. He was good all day. Had some troubles throughout the day, but he always managed to make his way back up.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot to mention, this is the first time since 2014.
Since the Hendrick drivers have...
The Hendrick drivers have finished with 2 of them in the top 5 at a racetrack. Number 6, you want to take that one?
Martin Truex Jr. Didn't he lead?
He led for quite a bit.
Yeah, he led quite some time, fell back, but I mean, got a top 10 finish, which isn't bad, but still,
he was battling.
Could have been better.
He was battling with a bunch of problems early in the race, so for him to climb up and finish in the top 10, was just out of the top 5, was good.
And now we go to something that surprised me. Tyler Reddick.
It honestly didn't surprise me that much. Tyler Reddick, I said big veteran presence, but Tyler Reddick just knows Darlington. It's his kind of racetrack. Doesn't surprise me. Tyler Reddick, talented racer. He proves that RCR doesn't have bad equipment. It just has, sometimes the pit crews mess up and sometimes the drivers mess up, but it's just mistakes that cost them. Richard Childress Racing, I believe, is still a championship level team.
Mm-hmm.
If they can find the right members, and I think they've struck gold with Tyler Reddick. I think in a few years, Tyler Reddick will be a heavy championship contender for Childress. Maybe get Childress that 8th champion, or that 7th championship that Dale Earnhardt got with Rod Osterlund back in 1980. Maybe Tyler Reddick could give Childress his 7th championship as an owner as well.
Erik Jones in the 20. He was also one of the many guys who had a thank you to the frontline workers. Joe Gibbs, they all had something on their hoods for them, for the workers. Didn't run too bad that day. Ran top 10 most of the day. Ran fairly well, just like the other Joe Gibbs guys. They all run well.
John Hunter Nemechek in 9th place. That was a surprise of different proportions. Because John Hunter Nemechek is known for overperforming and underperforming equipment. He nearly won I think he did win a Truck Series championship in Nemco, which hasn't really done anything since he's really left the team. But it was a good team that supported him, and he run by his father, of course, but has been since the Truck Series started with his uncle, John Nemechek, who died in a truck race at Homestead. But John Hunter Nemechek was always known for overperforming there. And I didn't really expect it out of a Front Row Motorsports car because, of course, they have one win with David Reagan back when at a plate track, but nothing to the proportions that he had. And this ride was just kind of something that fell into his lap after David Reagan decides to retire and Matt Tifft has issues. Had some medical issues. This ride just kind of fell in his lap, or else I believe he would be in the Xfinity Series. But here he is at Darlington, a week of NASCAR's return, running up front, running fairly well as well, not just clogging up the track, but running fairly well. Made his way up from 34th to 9th by the end of the race, so that tells you something. John Hunter Nemechek, I believe, should look out for him. I don't believe he'll be championship caliber, but I think he could get a win or two, sneak a few out.
And now the 10th place, which surprised me the most, was Matt Kenseth, the oldest driver in the field, who obviously replaced Kyle Larson. As many of you know, I talked about it in a previous episode. Came back, he ran around top 15, top 10 all day. Amazing job by him. I was really blown away because the oldest guy in the field, was he 48?
48, yes.
10th place finish.
But you have to think he knows race cars. He's never raced in this aero package, but he knows race cars, and that benefited him since nobody else had practice, nobody else had qualifying. It benefits him to be able to know Darlington, know the cars, maybe not specifically this aero package, but he knows these cars.
Mm-hmm.
And that, fact check me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe this makes him the only person to have driven a Toyota, a Ford, and a Chevrolet since they switched to the Generation 6 cars. Of course, main teams, because I'm sure Rick Ware Racing has switched. Lower budget teams have switched from Chevy to stuff like that, but I believe that makes him the only person. How am I trying to say? The only person who's driven for high level teams to have gone for all three.
Mm-hmm.
Driven for all three in the Gen 6 era.
And Austin Dillon finishes 11th. Strong run for Richard Childress Racing. That race, obviously Tyler Reddick did good. Austin Dillon, he did good as well.
Yeah. Apparently he was not satisfied with it though, because on the radio, Austin Dillon could be heard saying, "I'm gonna quit for this team and drive for whatever team Tyler Reddick's on." Of course, as we talked about earlier, they are teammates, but he seems to not think that he is getting the right equipment. But this shows that he can pull something out of it, so I don't think it's time to can Austin Dillon like many people do. Yeah. But it's very few and far between that you can really get something out of Austin Dillon. But on this day, we were. No hate on Austin Dillon either. Driving the 3-car when he won the Daytona 500, me and Grandpa were happy because it was
20 years after.
Yeah, and it was a monumental moment, and we like seeing that. So no hate against him, really. Number 12 of Erik Jones seemed pretty silent throughout the day. I know he had a little battle going on with Brad Keselowski towards the end, but he stayed pretty silent during the day and got a solid finish.
Brad Keselowski.
Yeah. You go ahead.
Brad Keselowski, obviously, as he just said, they were battling around the end of it. Obviously, Almirola got the edge over Keselowski, and Keselowski finishes 13th.
Yep. He started on the pole, got drawn for the pole, ran up front for quite a bit of the race. So he had a pretty good day, all things considered. 14th.
Matt Dibenedetto. Showing this year he has shown that he can do well in underfunded equipment. He did it at Bristol last year, and he did it at Fontana, finishing second.
If it makes you realize anything, Dibenedetto
he ran in the top 10 around half of the race.
And Matt Dibenedetto is currently sitting in the playoffs, which I believe not even Kyle Busch can say.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch is higher than Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch isn't in the playoffs right now. So if NASCAR decides, hey, playoffs now, just to get the season over, which anything could happen. I can't stress that enough. Anything could happen. If NASCAR decides, playoffs now, he would make it in, be a championship contender.
I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
He has the strength, he has the courage, he has the drive to do it. And he said at the interview after Bristol, he said he is going to win for whatever team he can drive for.
Yeah, and if Matt Dibenedetto wins, he doesn't only get his first win, he doesn't only hold the significance of winning in the Wood Brothers car for the first time in 3 years, he would hold the significance of being the 100th person to get a win in a Wood Brothers ride for the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Ryan Newman, back in a race car after the Daytona 500 crash on the last lap. Very happy to see him back. Very happy to see he was doing okay, but I saw in one of his in-car cameras he was shaking his hand around, you know. His hand might have fell asleep, but I saw him like shaking his hand around.
Right, yeah.
During
and that's
the beginning of the race.
That's a driver move as well, because shaking your hand is nothing new, because you see drivers doing it all the time, communicating things to other drivers and stuff. So that could have been just a simple communication. But Ryan Newman, top 15 in his return from injury. Certainly nothing to be mad at.
Not at all.
Nothing to scoff at. Number 16, Ryan Blaney, the hometown boy. From Ohio, not where we are exactly, but he is from Ohio, so Ryan Blaney takes home 16th place, had a pretty good day, all things considered, and ran well throughout the whole.
Clint Boyer, silent throughout the day, ran top 20, top 15 most of the day. Pretty silent like Eric Almirola was during the race. Got a 17th place finish.
Yeah. 18th, Joey Logano.
2018 champion. I'm kind of surprised he finished, I guess you could say, that low in the race, because despite him winning 2 races this season, I'm kind of a little bit surprised that he finished that low, but
yeah.
I'm not surprised either, because I've never really seen him do outstanding at Darlington. I don't think he has a win.
He doesn't have a very great record at Darlington. Yeah. I mean, he's not terrible there at all, by all means, but that seems to be more one of his average tracks where he can take home a top 10 some days, finish outside 20th others, and on days like today, finish 18th in a comeback at NASCAR at Darlington. Number 19.
Ty Dillon in the 13 car, I think, right? Yep. He still drives that? Yep.
The 13 Geico Chevrolet for Germain Racing. Of course, an RCR affiliate, so if we're counting that, all 3 RCR-related cars finish in the top 20 today, which is not bad for that organization, which has been struggling in recent years.
Yeah.
Really. He will start second for the race this Wednesday. Because they invert the field, the top 20, but 21st on back start where they finish. Ryan Preece. In the number 37 car. We'll start on the pole for the race. Nice to see he took home a top 20. Not very stellar, usually where he finishes about 20th through 25th. But good performance out of him. It wasn't a bad day for him, so that's good.
Bubba Wallace.
We're just talking points. Kyle Busch finishes 26th. He will start there.
He started in the back, moved his way up to the front, and then fell back later in the race.
He had to go to the rear because he failed inspection twice. Had to go to the rear, made his way up.
And fell back down.
And then had a late race pit stop for a loose wheel, is what I believe they said it was for.
And Timmy Hill finishes 33rd. I seen a post about NASCAR, and if they had a point system, Timmy Hill was the iRacing champion. But obviously, unfortunately, he really can't prove himself in the real world.
Yes, the eNASCAR champion. It was just for fun, but some people did calculate the points and he would have won. But the eNASCAR champion, he doesn't have the equipment to prove himself in real life, because on iRacing things are quite a bit evened out. But unfortunately, the 66 for MBM Motorsports doesn't have those capabilities in real life. Therefore, he is kind of a back marker driver, even though Timmy Hill has proved he's very talented. William Byron won stage 1.
Then he wrecked out like his teammate Jimmy Johnson. Sad to see that both of those Hendrick drivers wrecked out, but also good to see that the Hendrick drivers were both in the top 5 at the end of the race.
Speaking of Jimmy Johnson wrecks on the final lap of stage 1.
That has been kind of quite controversial.
Yeah, and the lead going for the stage win. He did as good as he could. So he's just trying to work back at it. His veteran presence, like I said, he could have done it better. Just kind of got loose off of the 17 car. No, not the 17 car's fault. He admitted it himself. He could have done it better. But just sad to see that Jimmy Johnson was doing so well and it just come to a screeching halt like that. Now, I know we've kind of been working backwards, and this proves it, because we're going back to the first lap. They take the green flag. They go through turns 1 and 2, and what happens?
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. hits the inside wall.
Yes. Quite frankly, we both thought that it was going to happen on the first lap. We knew. Honestly,
I wasn't expecting Stenhouse to wreck, but
yeah, it could have been anyone. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., of course, has been involved in many controversial wrecks in the past, but I don't believe this was his fault, and this was just one of those incidents when you step inside a car for the first time in 71 days without practice, and the first time you go, there's 39 other cars on the track with you. I mean, things are bound to happen, so... Just the same thing that happened with Jimmy Johnson. It could have very easily been him if he had started where Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had. So. And
now, Kyle Busch, he will be racing in 7 of the 11 races upcoming in NASCAR. He posted...
No, 7 races in 11 days. He is going to be racing all 7 within the next 2 weeks. That includes the Darlington race from last Sunday, the Xfinity race by tomorrow on Tuesday, because this is going out Monday night, I believe. The other Cup Series race at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. Watch that as well. Xfinity's at 8 tomorrow. On Tuesday, Cup's at 8 on Wednesday. Then he will be racing in the Cup at Charlotte on Sunday. The Truck at Charlotte, the Xfinity at Charlotte, and the Cup at Charlotte on Wednesday. Don't know the times for each of those. I believe the Sunday one is 3:30 again as well, right? So make sure you tune into those Cup Series races and the Xfinity race tomorrow night. Anything else we need to cover before we... our picks for the Darlington
Wednesday
number 2 race.
Who is your picks, Jason?
My picks are Matt Dibenedetto and the 21. Matt Dibenedetto and the number 21. Let's use this for a second. Matt Dibenedetto in the 21, because he had a good performance this week, has good caliber equipment, and I think he can get the job done. Kevin Harvick, I know this is an outdated Kevin Harvick, but when he was in a Chevy, but Kevin Harvick won this race, going to start 20th, but I think he can come from the back of the field up. And Jimmy Johnson. As long as he doesn't get involved with another wreck early, I believe he has long run speed and the veteran prowess that will get him a win on this Wednesday at Darlington. And Austin, who are your picks?
My picks. My picks are Matt Dibenedetto. Honestly, he's proven himself in the past year. This season, he's proved himself that he can be a contender to win a race, or maybe even a few races. Obviously, second place at Bristol, heartbreaking loss for him. Second place at Fontana, which he felt a lot better about. He seemed a lot happier after that second place finish. And obviously a good run at Darlington last Sunday. And I think he could get it done this Wednesday. William Byron, obviously won stage 1 and then wrecked. But I honestly feel that he could probably pull off an upset win for his first win. I really feel he can do it. And this might be a shocker to some of you, Matt Kenseth. 10th place finish at Darlington. It was his first Cup race since 2018 when he filled in for the 6th car of Trevor Bayne. NASCAR gave him a waiver. Said, hey, if you win a race, you can be in the playoffs. They gave that waiver to him. And
if he finishes in the top 30 in points by the playoffs, which, considering the competition, probably won't be hard, but he has to finish within the top 30 in points, as well as Ryan Newman if he wins a race.
But I feel he can be a threat to win, and he's going to be also having some throwback schemes with Chip Ganassi Racing. If you haven't seen those throwback schemes, you can check it out on Chip Ganassi's Instagram.
I'm gonna do that because I haven't seen.
But he's gonna pull it up.
Really? I haven't seen the Chip Ganassi.
Yeah, some of them are gonna look quite familiar to you older fans.
I do not see any throwback schemes. Do you?
They posted something about it. I don't know if it was on Chip Ganassi. It might be on Kenseth's.
Okay. Thank you for that. Go ahead and...
Or somewhere. And, that might be all I have to cover.
I believe that is all. So, remember everyone... watch the NASCAR race tomorrow night at 8. Watch the Xfinity race tomorrow night at 8. Watch the NASCAR Cup Series race on Wednesday at 8. Support NASCAR in these trying times where anything could happen. We could have to shut NASCAR back down, so watch it while you can because you don't really know how much you miss something till it's gone. And remember, always stay awesome.